Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And it's a 20-minute, 12:20. I hope all of you are doing as well as possible. Hey, Tracy, thank you. Yep, Barry again, and Wings of Night. Yeah, sometimes I have to squint. I wasn't sure it said might. I don't know what I thought it was. Well, happy 12/20. To discuss the MORE Act, which I was doing a little bit more researching and bookmarking and stuff, so I could have this discussion with you. That looks a little too dark. Anyway, not that you need to see my ugly mug to have the conversation, but I did not know. Like, wait a minute. Were you aware that, um, holy mackerel, let me go. I got to switch to the other. That the MORE Act came up last year, May the 28th, 2021, and it passed the House of Representatives. Um, and did any of you hear about this bill last year? I I wasn't aware of it. Now, do I know everything? No. Am I aware of everything? No. But I do try to keep my ear out to. You'd think something as big as the House passing a marijuana bill that is actually, as I've read through it, I gotta say, bravo. But they introduced basically this same bill last summer, and the Senate voted no. Now wait, whoa, 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 whoa. So it's not been just once, or this is the second time in 2 years that the Congress, the House of Representatives for the United States, is trying to get cannabis kicked off the federal list of, nasty drugs, which we all know is long overdue. And having been busted for growing it in the backyard with helicopters and high-powered rifles and people been through the woods and throwing me into the thorn bushes and everything. Oh, it was wonderful. For the sake of I had 5 plants and they were in horrible shape. So they didn't get me for growing, but they got me for possession, which is of over an ounce. Now, the state of Georgia has been fairly lenient in its less than an ounce laws, which have been on the books for a long time. Anything less than an ounce of marijuana is a continuing misdemeanor. Don't care how many times you get caught, you're going to pay a fine. You might spend a night in jail or something, but you ain't going to the hokey pokey. So Georgia's been pretty fair. That's one reason why I stayed in the state. But at the same time, though, if it gets over that and how they've been, trying to bust people and helicopters and just all the other stuff, but the amount of money that the state spends trying to bust people for me, I wasn't growing it to sell. I was growing it for my own personal use on my own property down in my own woods. And and they flew in a helicopter, spotted it, sent the feds in, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, that's like the FBI, but the state of Georgia, and crashing in and doing this and busting me and carting me out to jail for 5 or 6 marijuana plants. And they, like I said, they were in horrible shape. So the best they could get me for was over an ounce of marijuana, which is a felony in the state of Georgia. So a lot of folks who've gotten caught with weed, not growing it or whatever, have had felonies against them. They lose their rights. They lose this. You can't get a certain jobs because and um, so I've suffered all my life. Well, a good portion of it because of the bust in my backyard from my health. Okay, I wasn't selling it on the streets. It just all this other. So, but it says on record that I am a felon because I possessed more than an ounce of weed. So a lot of people's lives have been implicated, hurt, and otherwise like that. Now, if you have not read any of um, the details about the bill, I would like to share them. Now, this is Forbes, um, and I read it yesterday. Um, um, so the House passes a bill to legalize marijuana and remove penalties. So that's one of the things that is most. And in reading this, um, that on another list, um, there are several states um, that have been debating um, this MORE Act. Now, it is, these pages are moving around on me, and hang on. So this is from Forbes from the other day. It may be April's Fools today, but it's no joke. The U.S. House of Representatives passed Opportunity, Reinvestment, and Expungement Act, known as the MORE Act, will decriminalize marijuana, remove marijuana from the list of scheduled substances under the Controlled Substances Act, and eliminate criminal penalties for growth, social equality, get this, racial justice, and states' rights. Sponsored by House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler, Democrat of New York, the bill passed by a vote of 220 to 204. Representative Matt Getz and Brian Mast of Florida and Tom McClintock not get the 60 votes needed to pass, despite Majority Leader Chuck Schumer supporting it. The House passed a similar bill in 2020, but did not garner support and based on the criminalization of marijuana by legalizing marijuana, retroactively expunging previous convictions, and more, said Nadler. criminal penalties for marijuana offenses, and the resulting collateral consequences are unjust and harmful to our society. That's pretty good. The bill sets a new path forward and would begin to correct some of the injustice of the last 50 years in cannabis for medical purposes and on a popular issue. In 2020, legal cannabis sales totaled 20. Okay, let's see. With the majorities of states allowing the use of marijuana, what a massive outbreak of common sense in America, said Representative Jamie Raskin D. of Maryland. I concede our party is not for the kind of cocaine fueled orgies that Representative prohibition laws do not work for our people. The cost of enforcing cannabis prohibition laws cost taxpayers approximately 3.6 billion a year, according to 100,000 arrests annually. These arrests disproportionately affect people of color who are 4 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis possession than their white counterparts. Fewer than 1/5 of cannabis business owners identify as minority, and only 4% are Black. Protecting consumers from prosecution of government officials, ending the war on drugs also means adopting progressive and non criminal regulatory strategies rather than relying on law enforcement. This, this is very succinct and to me, right on the money. According to Congress.gov, the bill includes the following. I'm not, I got to say, this first one's a little wonky to me, but I'll read it. Establish a trust businesses and communities affected by the war on drugs. That's a really ippy kind of, I'm just saying, or imported into the United States, and an occupational tax on cannabis production facilities and export warehouses. Now, that's where they're going to make the money on this, right? I said 40 years ago, but again. But anyway, so an excise tax. Okay, they tax everything else. Why not weed, right? Make small business administration loans and services available to entities that are cannabis related legitimate businesses to a person on the basis of prohibit the denial of they can't federal government nobody can deny you because I was busted for weed. No, I got, oh well, we're not going to hire you. And they've done that for certain cannabis related conduct or convictions. Prohibit the denial under immigration laws basis on cannabis related. Establish a process to expunge convictions and conduct sentencing review hearings related to federal cannabis offenses, and direct the Government Accountability Office to study the. You'll be able to go to the feds and get a small business administration and get a loan. Now, growing cannabis is one thing. Oh, am I buffering really bad? I was on another page, so I was not watching. Hey, Ed. Yeah, and I paid my bill today and did a test where they ping, and I've passed all the tests for my. Oh, hush. There ain't nothing out there. Boy, has he been. Buffering bad. A. I wonder if I ended this video. It looked like it. Um, I wonder if I got out of this and did just started another live stream with a different title and see if the stream would be better, because it's really choppy here. Um, and it wasn't. Okay, I'll be back, part 2.